I remember a surge of people all pushing in a huge wave. It was Vans Warped Tour 2001, and I just wanted to be close to the stage, which meant I was in the pit. I had never been in the pit. I had never been to a concert, and this was a full-on music festival. The band started playing, and I felt people moving all to one side. And then the moshing started. My friend and I held hands and tried to hold on to each other. But then this guy came at me, his face all scrunched up with his arm, just like his forearm, right in front of his face, and then just pushed at me. And my friend and I, we were gripping onto each other, but we just couldn't hang on. It was like two hands being pried apart like a movie. I became lost in the crowd and also one with it. And I had never felt so alive. This is why I love concerts. And if you feel the same way or just wonder why anyone would put themselves through that, then this video is for you. Today, let's talk about the beauty of concerts and why experiencing live music is such a rush. I think the reason why I felt so alive that day at my first concert is because there is a shared experience when it comes to seeing live music within a group. I remember one time I was going to a concert, we were super late, and my husband was actually driving in LA on the shoulder of the freeway so that we could get to the venue in time. And when we finally got there, parking was already packed. It was for a 10-year reunion of this band called Héroes del Silencio, which is a Spanish band, Spanish rock band. We had to park so far away. The only guide we had to the venue, which was this huge soccer stadium, was the venue lights. And we just ran. I remember running for what seemed like a mile. The lights kept getting closer and closer till finally we got onto the pitch of the field. The entire field was filled with people. And I'm not talking about seats, like everyone was standing. So it was like one big pit. Then the music started playing. And everyone, I mean, tons of people, all of a sudden quieted down. There were still a couple of people cheering, but I just saw everyone just stop. And there was this huge screen on the stage, this big white screen with a light shining on it so that you could see the figure of the lead singer, Enrique Bunbury. And he's like this tall, slim guy. He just looked like 10 feet tall, his shadow did. He was playing El Estanque, which starts with a guitar solo. And you see his figure and then the figures of the rest of the band members start appearing. And then when the rest of the band started playing, the screen went up and the crowd just started cheering. And the thing that was so impactful was watching people react to this band. People were having like spiritual experiences where they were throwing their hands up and closing their eyes and going like this. And you know, sometimes people do that at concerts, but it was a reverence. Everyone being enthusiastic together, having a great time together, cheering, dancing, hearing this 10-year reunion was an amazing experience that I will take with me for the rest of my life. And that's the thing about concerts, right? Like, that experience would not have been the same had that crowd, that huge crowd, not been there. And as people, we're social animals. We connect with each other. Even if you're introverted, which I am very introverted, like, it would be a very different experience if I were to go to see a band and it was just the band and me. I mean, I wouldn't have anyone to share it with. I'd probably be pretty awkward just standing there with them, you know, like singing and playing for me. And there's actually a biological reason as to why we feel such a rush in a crowd. Concerts aren't just fun and entertaining, but can actually activate neural pathways associated with rewards and pleasure. People attending concerts show increased levels of endorphins, which can intensify positive emotions. The dancing, clapping, and poses people do at concerts can result in the neural transmission of dopamine, making us feel good. And singing out loud with others can release oxytocin, leading to increased satisfaction. Being together with people who are all focused on the same thing and moving in unison enhances our liking of the people around us. This synchrony and social cohesion can increase our feelings of trust and also decrease loneliness. So my takeaway from all of this is that when you go to see a concert, you are with people who all like the same thing, so there's a camaraderie there. And then you're getting just flushed with feel-good hormones. You're doing things like singing in unison, dancing, cheering, and something you can't get from a recording or from listening to an album is the uniqueness that that live performance will have. Humans can't copy things exactly every single time. It's why we're, so messy. And that's a beautiful thing about being human, is that we're different every time. Hearing a song in front of you, you have to be in the moment. You have to really pay attention. It's almost a surreal experience to hear that song that way for that time, because it's fleeting and it won't happen the same way again. And a good example of this is when I went to go see Tori Amos for the first time, who is my favorite musician. She's been with me the longest, and I waited a long time to see her. It was just a couple of years ago. I didn't go to see her for the longest time because I was just afraid of the experience. You build someone up so much in your head that when you go to see them, nothing can fit what you have already imagined, if that makes sense. So I think that's really why I waited so long to go see her. But I almost didn't make it to the concert because it was right after the pandemic, and I was just really afraid to be in crowds. At the very last minute, my husband had already sold the tickets. I decided I wanted to go, and he's so sweet. He bought new tickets for us that day. We made it on time, and we even ended up getting better seats than we originally would have had. And it was the most amazing, perfect, wonderful concert I think I've ever been to. It was exactly what I had imagined. Actually, it was better than what I had imagined because she's such a pro. She's been doing this her entire life. However, she forgot the words to one of the songs. And it was so fun to see her do that because she doesn't care. She doesn't care if she forgets the words to one of her songs. She doesn't have anything to prove. So the way that she recovered from that was just by making a joke out of it. And it just meant that we got to hear, the first bit of it again. Those are the magical things that can happen. You get that moment with whoever is on stage. And I think part of the reason why I had such a good time at that concert is because I had this whole history. I had listened to her when I was much younger and went through all of my preteen stuff, my teenage stuff, and my 20s, and I was still listening to her as an adult. And there was this really interesting moment where it was like my younger self just sort of came alive again. And then the self that I am now, adult me, sort of appreciated all of the growth that I had had along with her music. Those two sides of me sort of met in the middle. It was a singular experience for me, but there was also this experience of being in a crowd and sharing it with everyone else. And that is something else that I really love about concerts, is that you can have your own history with the artist, with the song, with the album, but everyone else is going through their own experience too, but we're all enjoying it together. That's really magical. And something else I really love that I've talked about throughout this whole video is the memory of concerts. I remember seeing Linkin Park at their height. I remember seeing Blink-182. I saw them several times. Seeing a band at their height is something that feels historic in my mind. All of the things that they had been through, the plane crashes, unfortunately, Chester from Linkin Park is no longer with us. I remember when I went to that Linkin Park concert, I was in the seats and I could look down at the stadium floor. I think we were in the Long Beach Convention Center. He was crowd surfing in the audience while singing. His voice was so perfect. It was so like clear. He didn't miss a note. I mean, if you've heard Chester's voice before, he was an amazing singer and musician and all of that. I'll never forget that. Blink-182, like I saw them and they had done a really good job one time, and then another time they were completely out of sync and got booed off the stage. Like that is just the way that it goes sometimes with live music. And even the people who are in my generation, who are younger, or younger people who listen to them, I tell them that I saw these people in concert and they're like, wow, that must have been amazing. And I get to share these stories with them the same way that people used to share stories with me when I was in high school. I remember it was the late 90s and I was all about Depeche Mode. Depeche Mode was like a decade earlier, but I remember talking to someone older than me who had gone to see Depeche Mode, and I was like, what was that like? And they were like, it was amazing. And it was just fun to talk to people who have had those experiences, because they're a part of the band's history now. They got to see that band at their height. And now with social media, you can see the popularity of Beyonce's tour, the popularity of Taylor Swift's tour. You can see those, being posted sometimes in real time. People will be able to not only show maybe 10 years from now the footage of when they were there at these concerts, but they'll also be able to share the experiences at these concerts, what they remember about the interaction with the people on stage. Beyonce's Mute Challenge, the Rain Show with Taylor Swift, those are going to be cemented in our culture. Those moments are so fleeting and so special. They're historic, they are a shared experience, they're a singular experience. That's a beautiful thing. If you've ever wondered why music itself brings up so many emotions, then click the video on your screen. It's all about the beauty of music. If you'd like to support me, then do so on my Patreon. The link is in the description box. It really helps me make more videos. And please like and subscribe, comment, all of the things. And I will see you in 2 weeks with a brand new video all about the beauty of coffee, one of my favorite things. Until then, take care.